Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Bear. Men are scary.
With a bear.
What I've heard about bears, they don't always attack you, right? Unless you like fuck with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
If I were alone in the woods, would you rather me encounter a bear or a man?
I feel more like bear. I don't know, because I feel like I would know what the outcome would be with a bear, even if it was like an aggressive one. I don't know what the outcome would be with like a bad man.
I'm going to try and get you in and out of here today, so I'm going to have 3 points. Let's get to the first one. The first one, as far as this whole situation, this disingenuous situation, is that women love to play victim. That's all this is. Women love to play victim. The ironic thing about women loving to play victim is you could look at a lot of situations where women antagonize men and they have no fear. They have no fear. You could look at, there's a video that went out. It was viral a couple years ago. You could search like airport fight or whatever. This woman spit on a black man. You know, it was like a Puerto Rican or a light-skinned chick. She spit on him. And then after that, you know, when he went to fight her and stuff like that, she hid behind a bunch of men. You also have situations like Bow Wow where, you know, he was in a domestic violence situation where he got beat up, and guess what? Everybody laughed at him because he had scratches in the mugshot and stuff like that. He didn't get a domestic violence. His woman got a domestic violence charge. The other ironic thing about, you know, women loving to play the victim is they are so strong and independent. All the strength the women have is funny. It's in everywhere else. It's in their ovaries. It's in their brain. It's in their motherfucking, you know, pineal, like they pituitary gland and shit. The strength is everywhere but in their physical body. But just to flesh this out a little bit more, I'm going to give you a few situations where women like to play victim and things like that. If you look at the Me Too, and this is play victim, not be victim. So I want to make that clear distinction. We are talking about women liking to play victim in situations where they are not actually victims. They love the feeling of just being vulnerable and seeming like a damsel in distress when there's no real danger. So with that being said, you have the whole Me Too shit and stuff like that. You can't think of anything like that mirrored by men to where men came out in groves and stuff like that. It just doesn't happen because women have herd mentality. But this is what happened with the Me Too shit. You got Weinstein, piece of shit. You got a bunch of other people, pieces of shit, like fucking Kevin Spacey and shit. But you get to a certain point and it then begins to get ridiculous. There are some people who got Me Too'd and they shouldn't have got Me Too'd. I'm going to give you 2 examples. One is of, and look, Bill Cosby, I believe he did all this stuff, but there was a specific allegation where a chick said she was with him at a Playboy party. You can Google it. Judge threw it out because he wasn't at that party. There was proof he was somewhere else. He was not at that party. So she completely fabricated that and lied about it. Now, if you know the Morgan Freeman stuff, there was a chick who was on like the news trying to say Morgan Freeman was creepy, trying to Me Too him and shit like that. But we went and looked at the footage. We went and looked at the footage after the game. Bruh, all he was doing was flirting with her. That's all he did. He didn't touch her. He didn't force himself on her. He wasn't persistent. I don't think she even rejected him. I don't even think he did anything that could be rejected. But she tried to make a situation and tried to like get him canceled and stuff like that because that's what was going on at the time. Just for flirting and the fact that he wasn't attractive to her, she wanted to make him seem like he was creepy and he was being a sexual predator. Oh, no. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to make him seem like that, but that just wasn't the case. I'll give you one more example as a token example. The whole, you know, we must protect black women. Black women are the least protected and stuff like that. And I get it. I get, you know, Malcolm X said that and stuff like that. But it's not as true as you think. It's not as true as you think. Because even in that situation that I mentioned where the one chick who was light-skinned spit on a black dude at the airport, guess who stepped in to protect her? A black man. But guess what? It was a bigger black man. This is the thing about the whole protection narrative as far as just any women in general. They feel like, you know, men are supposed to just protect them in public all the time and stuff like that. This is the thing, man. One of the differences between men and women is that men assess danger and physical harm a lot better. And then we control ourselves based on that because we know we can die if we step out of place with the wrong guy. There is no social contract to keep a motherfucker from putting hands, feet, and bullets all in us. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's the law, but the thing that protects women as far as, you know, not getting hit and stuff like that, it is the whole social contract and stuff like that. So once they feel a lot of that immunity throughout life, they will go and they will pop shit like old girl and Friday did to Debo, fucking Nia Long, you know, and even then that happens in real life. You look at the chick who had her 14-year-old son in Chicago kill somebody in the store, a grown man. They were going back and forth and she told her son to go get the gun, her 14-year-old, and her son had to kill the man because the man started beating on her. But she told her son to go get the gun and didn't stop antagonizing the man. Like she was prepared to do something herself. Men don't have that delusion. We don't, because a guy is not going to send his 14-year-old son to the car to get the strap. But guess what else a guy is not going to do? Pick a fight he knows he's going to lose. Like a guy is not going to pick a fight that he knows he's going to lose. So when we talk about protection, one of the things that's going on is if you are somewhere and somebody is getting on you and nobody does anything, more than likely those guys were not capable guys in the first place. We could probably touch on that more another day. Leave it in the comments if you want me to get on that. But let's move on to the next point. And the next point is that these chicks are full of shit. It's that simple. At the end of the day, this is just them being disingenuous. And from my assessment, there will be two things fueling this, which one of them is going to be my point number 3. The first thing is what we already went over. Women like to play victim. The second thing, which is going to be my last point, is that men bad. Now, I'm not going to get too deep, but I am going to say, you know, as far as women, they will use narrative. And even then, let me just say, this is people in general. If they have a certain point that they are trying to make or drill home or they're arguing or anything like that, they're going to be very stubborn. They're going to go against logic. And this is the thing. This is the key right here. They're going to say anything to support their point. That is all that is going on here as far as the disingenuousness. And it's to fuel the narrative that man bad. Now, let's think about this from a rational standpoint, a rational point of view. And I'll try and make this part quick so we could get to the third point. We're going to look at a bear. What happens when you encounter a bear in the woods? Let's cut the bullshit. A bear is a predator. A bear is a wild animal. If you see a bear, fear is going to strike in your body. There is not a 100% chance that the bear will attack. But the thing about a bear is that it moves off instinct. You cannot reason with a bear. You cannot beg a bear. You cannot say, bruh, I ain't got no money. Like, you can't say nothing to a bear. The only thing you could possibly try to do, which a woman will absolutely not be capable of, is show dominance and assert dominance in that situation, which if you try that, you might die. You're not fucking Bear Grylls and you're not Steve Irwin. So 100% of the time, when you encounter a bear in any situation, you can encounter a bear in a fucking city. It's a dangerous situation when you encounter a bear 100% of the time. So that covers the disingenuous part. We're going to talk about men from this standpoint as far as rational, but this brings us to the third point as far as men being bad. So again, we're going to stick to just a rational frame of thought very quickly. So again, we're in the woods. You're a woman. You're encountering a man. Think about this very quickly. Just a man. Let's think about some things very quickly. We are different than bears. The first thing is that we are human. So the fact that we are human, we are more fragile and weaker than a bear, even if it is a man. That's the first thing. Second thing is we are social creatures, but not just social creatures, but we are civilized social creatures. So you can communicate. You can communicate with a man when you see a man verbally. Now that we laid out that foundation, let's really think about it. Let's really think about this. Being that we are social creatures, we are civilized and all of that shit, aren't there tons of different types of man? Because it doesn't matter if you're encountering a grizzly bear or whatever the fuck type of bear. It just matters that it's a bear. It doesn't matter. Men and humans are more complex than that. So let me give you just 3 or 4 examples. Let's say you encounter a priest in the woods. Do you expect to be attacked? We'll just say no. Let's say you encounter, just a regular guy in a polo that says Best Buy and he's in the woods. Do you expect to be attacked? You shouldn't. Let's say you encounter a Boy Scout counselor. Just think about whatever your expectations is. Now, let's get dark with it. Let's say you run into somebody like a skinhead, a white skinhead with a bunch of prison tattoos. Okay, let's paint another picture. Let's say you run into a gangbanger, possibly a Crip or a Blood or something like that, because that's the most popular. I don't have to go too much deeper. You have to rationally, easily understand the difference between those last 2 individuals and then all the other individuals that I named. The last 2 types are possibly violent criminals, possibly, not always. But if you were to stereotype, they are in alignment. There are things that you see. There are going to be honest signals that are in alignment with them being violent criminals. As far as a priest, they're supposed to be peaceful. As far as a Boy Scout instructor, he's supposed to be trusted with kids and all of that stuff. And then as far as a guy that works at Best Buy, you go to Best Buy and get your fucking flat screen. So what are we talking about? Whole point being, there are different types of men. That's just, all men are not created equal. But for some reason, they think of the worst type of man. Let's go even further than that. Don't most women get dick? Don't most women, we're in this whole revolution right now. Don't most women get fucked by a lot of guys? Whatever you think a lot is. We could just say multiple to be decent. Even then, just take away the whole sexual aspect and stuff like that. Every woman who said what they said, they encounter so many men throughout the day who are not threatening and are not threats. So it is very ridiculous to just think, when you think man, you think threat. But I'll tell you what it is. It's the words woods and man. Woods and man. What that triggers, it makes them think predator man. Predator man. Which also triggers them to think, ooh, it's time to play victim. It's time to play victim. And it's time to further villainize men. Because that's the thing. This is a very popular thing to do now when you look at a lot of the feminist stuff that goes on as far as like mansplaining and just all of that type of stuff. So it's very popular. It's a very easy thing to do. Now, with all of that being said, because I could go on for days, listen, there are men that are predators. There are bad men out there. There are men that you should avoid, even as a man. These are just facts. But this is the thing, man. You have a better chance of survival going against another man as a woman than you do with a fucking bear. That's just what it is. you have a much, 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 much better chance of survival. That's just what it is. So this is just goofy. It's just goofy. I don't even know any other way to put it, man. Be sure to like the vid on the way out.